Okay, so Summoner's Replay number 2. This is a mentor. Am I muted? No. This is a mentor replay from 5 out of 7. Not sure quite what that reference is. A Lee Sin player, and a bit of information about this particular Lee Sin game. This is a Gold 3 game, and so we're going to go ahead and hit play here. And he said that we probably want to mute it. And this is a little bit longer of a game, from what I understand. But we'll look at the beginning stuff. Pretty standard start, Hunter's Machete plus refillable potion. And we'll... the downside of looking at a replay game versus looking at like an actual pre-recorded game is that we have no control over the map. So we're just going to be able to see this from his perspective. And his perspective so far is looking at the base. As we're sort of going through sort of the jumping and hopping that's going on right here. I'm trying to figure out what are sort of the glaring weaknesses or the ideas that we can maybe try to figure out from this. The first thing that I think of is trying to figure out as a Lee Sin player, is a refillable potion better, worse, or equitable to having 3 potions? If you are sort of barely clearing your jungle, you probably want to have 3 potions just to be able to sustain. And a lot of this comes down to how good you are at managing the passive auto attack speed. So, Lee Sin in this game, we start out with Q. We smite first. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. So good management of the attack speed boost right now. Refillable potion is being used. So, pretty standard stuff. Second is the W. I am actually a big fan of leveling up the E, just because the Resonating Strike is particularly strong when we're considering it with the rest of the kit. It's actually interesting seeing it from this point of view. As a Lee Sin, a lot of our power comes from pre-level 6, and especially level 6. So we're going to think about, is there an opportunity for us to make ganks happen? We see that he's looking all across the map, going straight for his red buff where he will smite and then most likely go top. But the first thing that I'd be concerned of is who am I juggling against, which in this particular example is Voli. And then what we see is see a crew. What we see is that he's going for the red buff. He's going to go ahead and smite, especially if he smites on the second W. He actually gets a big chunk of HP back from the lifesteal element of it. And we're trying to figure out at this point, let's go ahead and pause, what information we have accessible from the map. We know that Gragas is near his tower. We've seen Lux continue to push in. We see that Nautilus is pushing the Nasus into the tower. So we have 2 really good options of people to theoretically gank. If we're looking at Lux in particular, if she hits a binding, all of a sudden we are sort of stuck in place. We can't do much, but we also have really good initiation from Gragas with his body slam, even flash body slam. We also have sort of less than stellar slowing down, other than the very brief slow from a Nasus, and of course Nautilus can get away. So we're just trying to assess the situation, figure out where it is that we're going next. We have level 3, so we have all 3 skills. It looks as though we're going to go for top lane, which makes sense. Maybe friendly kick to the Nasus. Nasus is you're going to wait for this minion wave. Oh, so far so good. And we want to make sure that you're pinging and he is following you. It seems as though he is at max HP so far. You're actually able to land the Q combo. The auto attacking is coming through. And I would flash here just to be safe. Oh, you brave soul, going with it. All of a sudden you decide to fight the Volibear, which might end up in your benefit if the Nasus continues to fight through. So far nothing. You're probably going to friendly kick and try to pull off a cool Q combo. There we go. But you're going to end up dead by the Volibear. Here we are in Volibear's passive. and he's able to survive. Unfortunately, this is something that we see coming, sort of from a mile away. There are a lot of really flashy Lee Sin mechanics that you're able to pull off. That one was not one of them. But I like the idea. I like the creativity. Being flashy, as long as you pull it off, is always appreciated. But in that circumstance, it doesn't seem as though you're able to do much with this. Bottom lane is particularly low, and looks as though you're going to go for the Rift as a way to provide vision and a little bit of mobility. Probably ward over the wall at blue, see if it's still there, which it is not, of course. And then hang out, maybe back top, or possibly just go to your Raptor camp and figure it out from there. I think that is just an underestimation of how much damage that you could do as Lee Sin jungle, especially against the Volibear in particular. And now we're just hanging out at the Raptor camp. Going to go ahead and smite this and see if we can get some sort of vision across the map and even sort of deny any of the wards that they have placed. There's not much that we could do. We see Volibear on the opposite side, so we're probably going to want to stay mid. Gragas uses his body slam too aggressively. We're going to try to help in any way possible, but unfortunately, there's not much that we can do. We should have been there a little bit quicker, so the actual reaction time, you see him, you know that you're going to help him, but you trying to get there is probably more a byproduct of you maybe trying to put a little bit ward a little bit further, and Gragas not really paying attention, unfortunately dies, and you can actually just go ahead and soak up mid lane experience. And a mid lane Gragas, now that I'm thinking about it, is an interesting pick. Not that it's necessarily good nor bad, it just is. And look at you, CSing like a pro. Here it is, you're going to have to smite this one. Overall, 0-1-1, not the best game, but not the worst. You get a really nice kill early on the Nautilus. Sometimes it's better, especially gauging the Nasus mana pool and the damage that Nasus does not have at level 1, to think about how you can sort of make a coordinated play. You see that you've been spotted out by a ward. Nautilus is pretty much at full HP, I believe. Oh no, he's actually a little bit less. You miss your Q. All of a sudden, there's not much that you guys can do. There might be a decision or an argument in there that after you've been spotted, you should probably just head back or head to your camps that you're going to right now. But not only did you not spot the ward, or maybe you didn't care about it, but you actually didn't clear it either. And that can be a little bit problematic, because if you decide to, after this camp, go back top, there's still a ward there that's going to spot you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Right now, you don't have any sort of... you're going back without really using all of your total value. So you're not making a big impact like this Volibear here, and you're actually not even low in HP. So you've come top a couple times, you're trying to make an impact as much as possible, but so far it is not working to your benefit. I imagine at some point you'll probably want to show bottom a little bit of love. Yes, Nasus having some breathing room is probably a good sign, but it looks as though bot lane has been pretty low in multiple instances, and so you might want to focus on giving some aid to them instead. But who am I to judge? Or just hang out mid. Once you get level 6, Volibear is level 5. He will absolutely beat you in this fight, and you're about to die to Lux. We have established that you are not going to beat Volibear. Not only are you not going to beat Volibear, but Volibear is beating you so bad that he's taking your blue, killing your Gragas, and getting your Lux 4-0. So, let's think about it this way. It's 6-1, their lead. You gank top, you got a kill for your Nasus. That's cool. And of all the kills, right, you have 1 kill to the 4 kills, to the 6 kills of the enemy team. The only person that you've got ahead in some way is your Gragas. Or, I'm sorry, not your Gragas, your Nasus. So, what do we do with that? Well, Nautilus is tanky, so it's going to be harder to kill him as time goes on. Lux is able to bind you, so unless you have some really cool mechanical outplays with Lee Sin, like an Insect, friendly jump, and then your ultimate, you're not going to be able to kill Lux. He probably has Flash still up, and Volibear is sort of looming around. So what do we do with this information? Well, the first thing that I would do is, first thing that I would think is, can I gank bottom lane? And if I can gank bottom lane, I have a number of different opportunities to come get to them. Once I hit level 6, I can make those plays happen. And because you decided, after seeing the Volibear, to sort of continue and go to fight him, you try to sort of friendly hop away, didn't work. Each time that you see Volibear, especially at level 1 when he died, or I'm sorry, at the first gank when he died, you should probably just avoid him like the plague. And that should have been a little bit more present at the beginning, but not so much here. So you're down 0-2-1, so you got that 1 assist. You're trying to think, where is it that I can make plays happen? But unfortunately, there is no vision. You've decided to go and make the play and take the blue with the counter gank here in some way. And you actually decide to go not for the upgraded ward item, so not to go for your Stalker's Blade first, but to instead just hang out with the hammer to give you a little bit of CDR. But as a result of that, you can't make really cool sim plays, and you also deprive yourself of vision. And we're not even going to talk about you missing that Q. Neither here nor there in the grand scheme of things. If we actually go back a couple of seconds, now keep in mind you're not level 6. If we go back a couple of seconds here for when you start this blue buff, let's sort of watch it and advance again. We see that Lux is mid and Gragas is heading towards mid. So what I would do with this information is go, can I gank Lux? And as of now, she's pushing in the tower, everyone's sort of Mia. Is there something that you can do in response to this? And you start to go for the Scuttle Crab. Now, we pause the game right here, and unfortunately with the replay you can't really see it. We pause the game right here, and the first scuttler, and just to keep going with this. But see, there are multiple ultimate. Now, this not having an ultimate is a byproduct of you dying a little bit earlier, but we're level 5. Forget about the past. Let's think about the present. Instead of going forward and going after that Lux, who is still very much this sort of prime example of how it is that you can sort of gank her, even if you walk up to her and use your E to slow her, that should enable Gragas enough time to body slam and use his barrel as a way to keep them in place. But for the most part, what I would do is forget about this actual scuttler and just to keep going with this. But see, there are multiple about 20-second time frame from you being around the blue buff to the actual Lux, right? So we have a pretty big window to go ahead and do that. One of the questions that Penguin asks in chat right now that you might not be able to see is, what do you think of keeping trackers and stealth war triggering on Lee? I do it normally so I can use a trinket for vision and trackers for combat Ws. That seems like a good idea. For the most part, in a lot of these situations, what you're going to want to do is provide as much vision as possible. And sometimes when you are Lee, you don't have a lot of opportunities to go and go back to base. You're going to try to be ganking as much as possible. So before you decide not to gank middle. Now, when Lux is further away in the lane and you still don't have vision of the Nautilus or the Volibear, well, now you do of the Volibear, then you decide to gank. So the actual timing of your gank is a little bit late, but the idea is good. And so at this point, what I would do is automatically flash over the wall, which you do. Gragas is trying to give you some sort of benefit of the doubt here. And there's not much for you to do. You're just going to be dancing back and forth for a little bit. Nautilus is right here. The best thing you could do is probably kick. There you go. Great kick overall. And just run. So far, so good. Nice little disengage. Not much that you could do. Going over the wall, farm a little bit more. We see that Voli's heading back to his blue side. And I think that was actually a really, really good play for you to just get the hell out of there. The play before was sort of enabling you to do otherwise. But let's pause this right here. There have been multiple instances where Volibear has been there without you having vision and fighting and ganking you by the time that you actually are able to engage, right? So we just saw that with Lux. We saw it with the Nautilus before when he died, that powder guy. So I'm going to assume that the Volibear and the Lux are somewhere over here, even if it's just a Lux laser. I could be wrong, but I don't think that Nautilus would fight you otherwise. And there's the Lux, and there's the Volibear, and there's the Nasus. soon there will be some sort of assistance for them, a nice little slow, and you decide to go in right here, which we will see your death by Lux, maybe not. So, pause it here, and this is sort of the last and final idea. I like spending the vast majority of time at the beginning parts of the game and some of the decisions from a juggling perspective, because the end game and the team fighting, that's just stuff that you learn over time. And if you want me to look at that specifically, how you played in a team fight, that's great. But for a champion like a Lee Sin, you want to make sure that your early game ganks are particularly strong as a way for you to really help put your team ahead or really annoy the enemy jungler. Volibear probably isn't the person that you want to bully. So, as we look at this game so far, there are a lot of instances where you are being pretty close to the enemy. So you see opportunities to theoretically go gank the Nautilus that ends up in a first blood or a first kill for the Nasus. Awesome. But then you stay. Okay, so you stay a little bit long. You end up dying. That's okay. You thought you could make a play happen. Perfectly reasonable. You don't go mid when there's what seems to be a free opportunity to kill Lux. But when Lux is a little bit further back, then you wait to actually go ahead and engage. So we're just thinking about the overall timing and the investment of time that you're there. In this example of you fighting Nautilus without vision, not the best. All of a sudden, there is a 3-on-3 fight with a Nasus who, again, doesn't have much power, especially when he's Zoom. At this stage of the game, he needs to stack up, he needs to farm, and Nautilus has the inherent tankiness. He has a lot of damage overall in comparison to your Nasus. Gragas has been shut down. There's a 4-0-1 Lux, 4-0-0 Lux. So overall, the team fighting potential and power that you guys have compared to theirs is this small to their team fighting, which is this big. So again, I think it just takes you a little bit of time to think about what it is that you want to do, and to then, of course, execute on it. There are a lot of ways for you to think about how it is that you want to build this particular champion. I think the first thing that you want to do is probably go for like the green smites or the stalkers, just to give you a little bit of vision early on. And you want to make sure that I think your early jungle plays are a little bit more clear and concise, that you're making a very direct path. Otherwise, I thought you did pretty well. So that's sort of my pitch to you. If you have any questions, please let me know. But that is what I have surmised from your game so far.